Hello, my name is Brenda Wright. I am the resource teacher for the 21st Century Community Learning Center grant program. Today's adult family member activity presentation is entitled Strategies to Teach Children Empathy. What is empathy? Empathy is at the center of what it means to be human. It is foundational for ethical behavior, healthy relationships, for loving others well, and professional success. It is also a key component to preventing bullying and other forms of cruelty. Shared emotional response is when a person shares another person's emotions. For instance, people in the audience voluntarily mirroring a speaker's smile or other expression. Empathy is the ability to share the feelings of others and perspective taking. It is the ability to adopt another perspective or to walk in another's shoes. Empathy is not just about capacity. For instance, some actors and con men may take others' perspective, but they may not necessarily care about them. Empathy involves valuing other perspectives and people. Perspective taking and compassion happen when a person is able to imagine themselves in another's situation. A great example of empathy is something spoken by Atticus Finch, Gregory Peck, in the movie To Kill a Mockingbird. If you just learn a single trick, Scout, you'll get along a lot better with all kinds of folks. You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb inside of his skin and walk around in it. Empathy in children. What does empathy look like for children? Possessing empathy means that a child understands that they are their own unique person and is different from those around them, and that other people may have different feelings and perspectives than their own perspectives and feelings. Has the ability to recognize and identify their own feelings as well as another's feelings, has the ability to regulate their individual emotional responses, has the ability to put themselves in someone else's shoes and imagine and understand how someone might feel, has the ability to envision what kind of appropriate action or response is needed to help a person feel better. The first strategy, empathize with your child. Children learn empathy by experiencing our empathy for them. Our empathy for our children allows them to develop trusting and secure attachments with us. Those attachments foster a desire to adapt our values and model our behavior and ultimately develop empathy for others. Empathizing with children can be expressed in many ways, such as being attuned to their physical and emotional needs, understanding their individual personalities, generally taking an interest in who they are and the things they enjoy. An important component to empathetic relationship is effective listening. Listening can be difficult. Often, individuals do not listen to each other in conversation. Instead, we are thinking of our response or story to interject. The HEAR strategy can help both adults and children learn to effectively give attention to hearing one another. The HEAR strategy. HEAR, H-E-A-R, consists of these listening strategies. H, halt. Stop what you are doing. Turn off your internal dialogue and free your thoughts to give the speaker your full attention. E, engage. Focus on the speaker and what they are saying. Add a physical component such as leaning in toward the speakers to remember to engage in your listening. A, anticipate. By anticipating what the speaker has to say, you are acknowledging that you will most likely learn something or just enjoy the conversation, which will help improve your attention. R, replay. Actively think about what the speaker is saying. Paraphrase what you hear in your mind or in conversation with the speaker. Replaying what you have heard will help with understanding what the speaker is trying to convey. empathy. Not only do children learn from experiencing empathy, but they also learn by watching us. They learn by watching us notice and appreciate others. They will notice how we treat the server in a restaurant or a custodian at school. Do we treat them the same as the manager or the principal, or do we treat them as if they are invisible? They will also notice if we welcome a new family to the neighborhood or if we express concern about one of our children's friends who is having difficulty in a situation. Try this. Demonstrate empathy for others, especially those who are different from you. Think about getting involved in some type of community service or find a way to positively contribute to your community. Consider involving your child in this community service. Maybe express interest in those individuals from various backgrounds and cultures who are facing many different types of challenges. 3. Make caring for others a priority. Make caring for others a priority, meanwhile setting high moral expectations. In order to teach children to value others' perspectives and show compassion, it is important that they hear and see their parents setting it as a high priority and that it is just as important as their own happiness. Although most parents communicate that raising compassionate children is a priority, often children are not receiving that message. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "The purpose of life is not to be happy, it is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well." Consider trying this. Think about the daily messages you send to your children about the importance of compassion. Instead of communicating that the most important thing is their happiness, but instead that they are kind and happy. Emphasize compassion when talking to adults in your child's lives. For instance, in addition to asking your children's teacher and coaches about their grades, skills, or performance, consider asking about their compassions for others too. Teach children that the world does not revolve around them. It is important for parents to teach children to sometimes put concern for others above their own happiness. For instance, having them turn off the TV to help around the house, treat others politely even when they are in a bad mood, or listen to others rather than dominating a conversation. Strategy number 4, provide opportunities for children to practice empathy. Although children are born with the capability for empathy, it must be nurtured throughout their lives. Learning empathy in some ways is like learning a language, a sport, or playing an instrument. It requires practice and guidance. By routinely considering the perspectives and circumstances of others, empathy begins to become a natural reflex. Through practice, trial, and error, children improve at tuning into other people's feelings and perspectives. Consider providing opportunities for children to practice empathy. Some opportunities might include family meetings. Hold family meetings where there are family conflicts or disagreements. During those meetings, give children a voice and encourage them to take other family members' perspective. Listen to your children's perspectives and ask them to listen carefully to the views of other family members. Encourage empathy. Routinely ask children about the classmates and friends. Encourage them when in conflict to try seeing the perspective and views of their friends. Reflect on empathy. When you are with your child, pay close attention to someone who shows empathy or a lack of empathy, either in daily life, a book, or television character. Use those instances as an opportunity for discussion about empathy. Discuss why empathy is important and why lacking empathy can be harmful to healthy relationships. Discuss ethical dilemmas. Talk with children about ethical dilemmas that will help them identify and appreciate different perspectives. For example, should I invite a new neighbor to my birthday party when my best friend does not like her? Should I sit with the quiet loner at lunch even though others do not? Should I sit by the boy on the bus who everyone teases? Encourage doing with. Encourage children not to just do service for others, but to do with others, to work with diverse groups of students to address community needs. Strategy number 5, expand children's sphere of concern. Much of the time we talk about the amount of empathy a child possesses. For instance, we often discuss children's empathy in terms of possessing a lot, a little, or lacking. Oftentimes, however, it is not whether children can empathize or how much they possess, but who they have empathy for. For a majority of us, we do not have difficulty feeling empathy for family and friends. It is natural for us to have empathy for people who are like us in some way. However, the heart of the issue is whether we have empathy outside of the circle of our family and friends. It is important for us to model to our children appreciation for many types of people. Moreover, it is equally important to foster children's understanding and caring for many kinds of people who are different from us and who may be facing challenges that are different from our own challenges. Something to try. Zoom in and out. Assist children with zooming in by carefully tuning to others while also zooming out by taking in numerous perspectives and people. Use books, newspaper, TV, stories, and credible internet sites to initiate conversations with children about other people, their challenges and hardships they face, or just different experiences of children in another community or country. Understand those who are different. Put emphasis on really listening to others, particularly those individuals who may seem unfamiliar or different, who they do not really understand or relate to. Encourage them to contemplate the feelings of those who may be more vulnerable, like a child who might be experiencing family difficulties or a child who is unpopular. Provide children with a few simple ideas for taking appropriate actions, such as comforting a classmate who was teased. In order for our children to learn to value others' perspectives and show compassion for them, it is important that they hear and see that caring about others is a priority and that is just as important as their own happiness. Make a difference at home. Give children age-appropriate tasks to help around the house. Model social skills such as saying please and thank you, sharing with siblings, and recognizing when others are having a bad day. Routinely check on family members, asking them how are you feeling or if there is anything you can do to help. Mother Teresa once said something encouraging for all of us. We can do no great things, only small things with great love. Leonardo da Vinci appropriately said, I have been impressed with the urgency of doing. Knowing is not enough. We must apply. Being willing is not enough. We must do. Make a difference in your community. Visit a nursing home or an elderly neighbor. Make cards for senior citizens in your neighborhood or a nursing home. Donate food, toys, clothes to charity. Welcome new neighbors with a baked treat. Cook a meal or dessert for a family who needs encouragement. Invite a neighbor who is alone over for a holiday. Fill backpacks with school supplies for children in need. Pick up litter. Make treats and take them to the police or fire station. Help an elderly or sick neighbor with chores, grocery shopping, meals, etc. Ask a family volunteer at a shelter or soup kitchen. Practice random acts of kindness. Make a difference globally. Help raise money for a charity that your children will like to support. Send cards to the military. Donate needed items to areas affected by natural disasters. Read about helpers. As a family, learn about helpers in the world and how their compassion positively impacted people. Some encouraging words from Mr. Rogers to take note of. When I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, "Look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping." Teach your children to become helpers. View this resource page containing books related to empathy. Utilizing these strategies may help children develop empathy. Here are some of the resources used for today's family member activity. More information on empathy can be found on each of these pages. Thank you for joining us today.